Greetings, YouTube. Happy Friday as we conclude this weekend. At least I think we're supposed to conclude this weekend. The special featured item sale in the store, which in the past, these were the worst deals of all time. But to Kabam's credit, they've done a really good job of making especially the first 5 to 10 purchases of these featured items extremely reasonable, and in some cases the best we have ever seen in terms of price. And so with that being said, it is always a question of whether or not, given the state of the game and how easily you can get Tier 2 Alpha Catalyst fragments now between the Glory Store and a huge increase recently in the drop rates of them in especially Map 6 crystals, especially for those of you who I guess run Map 7, although those crystals sound to be an RNG nightmare for the top prizes. But regardless, because their price has come down, you kind of always have to wonder, how much is it worth it to spend on them? Now, of course, the nice thing about these featured items as well is that they are free to play players' dreams because you can spend your units on them. And normally when you see these kind of offers, such as, say, yesterday with the Prestige Boosting Signature Stone package bundles, you really are forced to have to see everybody else improve their roster knowing that you have no chance to purchase it yourself. So 22 units for 720 Tier 2 Alpha Catalyst Fragments isn't the worst, but it's also not the best. And so let's just say you wanted to buy 10 of these, which would, of course, give you 720 times 10, or you just add a 0 on the end of it for 7,200 Tier 2 Alpha Catalyst Fragments. And if you were to do that, you would be spending 716 units. Now, that is not a good deal at all. If you go down to 5 and you just get half of that, and you want to do 3,600 Tier 2 Alpha Catalyst Fragments, that's 207 units, which isn't a great deal, but it's certainly a better deal than going to 10. So I think the max I would advise anybody to purchase from this would be 5, but keep in mind when you talk about 3,600, right, when you go to the Glory Store, that's 2 rounds of Glory, and 2 rounds of Glory is just 825 Glory, and if you get between 4,000 and 5,000 Glory on average per Alliance Quest Rewards run, you're saying it's not even a fourth of your Glory to get something for free that now is going to cost you the same price as, once again, when you do the 5, the same price, plus or minus 7 units of 1 Cavalier Crystal. And I do think as I look to do reviews, especially for the quote-unquote in-game community, it's important to price things in comparison to Cavalier Crystals because they are the best gamble for your units from here on out, and it's not even close. Now, I also got requests if the second item came up, and it certainly did, to do the Signature Stone Crystal. Now, I hate these things because let me tell you, for, 2 or 3 weeks straight, I just needed tech. I needed to get Stark Spidey to Sig 200, and then I wanted to build up my OG Vision to max him out. And I didn't get a single tech. When you need a certain class and you're targeting these, it could be the absolute worst. So these have far less value than the generic 5-star signature stones that I promoted everyone getting a couple of days ago. And so I actually think these are only like 8 to 10 less units than the guaranteed stones, which I think is a really bad idea for Kabam. It is a purchase price that is a bit too high given the 1 out of 6 class-based gamble you have to do with these. So when you look at 5 of these, it's 78 units. If you compare that to Tier 2 Alpha, it's a far better value to get the signature stones than it is to get the units. In fact, you can get 10 5-star signature stone crystals for less than 5 of the Tier 2 Alpha Catalyst Fragments. And once again, the 5 Tier 2 Alpha Catalyst Fragments are just going to give you the same amount that you can get from just 2 purchases in the Glory Store with your free Glory at the end of this week's Alliance Quest. So even though I still think I would like to see these cheaper because they are far from guaranteed and really are a gamble when it comes to your units, I still say it's a pretty good purchase price to get 10 of these because it's less than 1 Cavalier Crystal. And even though you're probably not going to mostly get the class that you're targeting. So, who should get this? If you have, say, 2 or 3, especially if you have more than 3 5-star classes that you can immediately pour signature stones into, then this is a really smart decision because these things are still really hard to get in the game. Like, you can 100% complete Master Mode, which is not easy for so many people to do because Master Mode is still a pretty significant challenge, especially if you don't have many rank 4 and above 5 stars. And yet, for 100% completing that, you only get 5 of these things. And that's for 100% completing all chapters of the content. Whereas this, for less than the price of 1 Cavalier Crystal, you can get 10 of them. And so you get double the amount that you can get for 100% completing the Master Event Quest. And at the same time, you don't have to actually do any of the work, right? You just get them for free. So the 5-star signature stones, for a grade, I think I would actually give this a B. I think for less than 200 units, it's worth getting 10 of these. But the Tier 2 Alphas, I would give a failing grade for anything above 5. And even this, I'm just going to give a C- because we have seen much better value for your units than the Tier 2 Alpha Catalyst fragment. I would have priced those at half, or 720 is just a weird amount of fragments to give per round. I think they should have boosted that up to maybe 1,800, and that would have been a lot more in terms of sense, because 1,800 is normally, as we just looked at, what we see per round in the Glory Store. So to go from getting batches of 1,800 per Glory to getting batches of 720 for your units just doesn't make a lot of purchase price sense. So stock up if you have a couple hundred units on 10 5-star signature stones. Of course, signature stone crystals, not the generics. That is, of course, if they're even in your store, because you have to get uncollected, I believe, to see that. But there you go. Happy Friday. I also want to remind everybody, because it is my duty to know that there are certain things that are guaranteed in life: death, taxes, and daily calendars. And the daily calendars are coming back on April 1st, which is 3 days from now on Monday. So if you have maybe some credit or some extra income that you want to save, I would advise you to wait 3 days, unless there's some crazy offer between now and then, like for a 5-star Awakening gem for a cheap price, to just hoard that savings and wait for those daily calendars to come up on April 1st, and hopefully it won't April Fools us all, and they'll actually be some good value. Otherwise, have a great Friday, YouTube. Thanks for watching and supporting my Marvel Contest of Champions YouTube channel.